This changes everything for the Bengals. With Trey Hendrickson and Shemar Stewart not at camp, an opportunity has opened up for the rest of the defensive line that is going to pay big dividends going forward in Al Golden's defense for the 2025 season. Welcome to the jungle. This is Isaac Coffman with Bengals Digest. So happy to see you. And if you want to get in on the Bengals community, all things Bengals, make sure you smash that subscribe button. We are on our way to 2,000 subscribers. We appreciate so much all those that have joined in, and we love hearing your thoughts. So be sure you also share your thoughts on this Bengals offseason thus far. So with this Bengals defensive line, Trey Hendrickson, Shemar Stewart, they have obviously been stealing a lot of the headlines. Trey Hendrickson is coming off of a season where he led the league in sacks with 17.5, but is not showing up to camp due to the contract negotiations. Not happy with that $16 million a year and wanting probably more towards the $35-40 million that is in the Myles Garrett range. Shemar Stewart is not happy with the wording that has been going on with his contract and has not signed. He showed up to minicamp but did not participate. So what does this all mean? It means other guys are going to get their reps. They're going to get their opportunities, and this is going to be big. This is huge because when you're talking about a defensive line, you're going to have injuries. You're going to have guys that are going to rotate in and out. Giving these other guys an opportunity, we can take that as a positive. That's a huge silver lining when it comes to especially some close games that are going to be played this year and having these guys needing to step up to rely on them, as a matter of fact. And that's exactly what Al Golden said when it came to the recent minicamp. Notice his comments. He had something interesting to talk about the rest of the defensive line outside of Hendrickson and Shemar Stewart. He said Joseph Osai had a great camp. Cam Sample, coming off the Achilles injury, has overachieved to this point only because I didn't expect that type of athleticism to spring back as quickly. Chris Jenkins has really done a great job. He's had an awesome attitude all camp. Cedric Johnson, another edge, is another one that's really sees that opportunity. Okay, maybe you haven't heard of these names. Maybe you haven't seen much of them. And this is great things to be hearing from Al Golden. But the thing that sticks out is Joseph Osai and Cam Sample. He was surprised to see Cam Sample as well as coming back from that injury. But we want to make the focus on especially Joseph Osai, because when it comes to him, he is now on a 1-year deal. He's come back, and he was kind of that leader outside of Hendrickson. You had Sam Hubbard, but Sam Hubbard had his injuries as well. But Joseph Osai was almost viewed as that second rusher. So that's good to hear that he's had a great camp. And this is minicamp. This isn't training camp yet. We're only getting a small sample size, but even as small as these reps are, they truly matter. They really do add up. So giving him more opportunity, almost as that one where Hendrickson would be, that's got to instill some confidence. And going back to Joseph Osai, he had, a storied history. He unfortunately had that play in the playoffs with the late hit on Patrick Mahomes. And I really felt for him when that happened. We all just wish it didn't happen. It was one of those, say what you will, it was a bad play. It's just a bang bang play. What else is there? But unfortunately, that's the reputation that Joseph Osai has. I'm hoping that he can come out strong. He can really show that he's more than just that one play. That seems like fans bring that up when it comes to Joseph Osai. He was so much more. Let's look at actually some of his stats from last year. Now, this isn't going to be groundbreaking when it comes to, Trey Hendrickson kind of stats, but he played all 17 games. We have to keep that in mind. And through those 17, he had 5 sacks. He seemed like when he was on the field, he was a difference maker. He actually was getting pressure at times. Now, he still seems like he has to develop, but these reps, again, going back to the reps early on, that's going to instill more confidence. And that's what he needs. He needs more confidence. I think once you get more reps in, it just makes you more comfortable in the system. And given, we have to mention that this is a new defense with Al Golden. So having Joseph Osai getting those reps in, that's only going to make it more beneficial for him. So I have high hopes. I think he's kind of the front runner to be a starter if Hendrickson doesn't get it worked out, if Shemar Stewart doesn't come back. And we have to keep in mind Stewart was a first-round draft pick this year. There was high hopes for him that he could come in and contribute right away. But that's also another point of Shemar Stewart's not here. He's not competing. He hasn't earned that starting job yet. So if you were to ask me, Joseph Osai is going to be lining up with Hendrickson day one. As of right now, Stewart's going to have to come in and really show them that he is a first-round draft pick that can contribute. So right now, I think Joseph Osai, it's his job to lose, especially getting high praise from Al Golden. He seems like he's going to be a front runner on that. Now, the other player that's probably going to be a front runner is another first-round draft pick, and that's Myles Murphy. Now, there's a lot of talk about, he's a bust, he's all this. That's what a lot of fans are saying. He was a first-round draft pick. You're going to get those expectations on you. But at the same time, he hasn't had the opportunities. This is where this is probably going to be the biggest payoff for Myles Murphy. Not having Trey Hendrickson, not having Shemar Stewart, who they probably would have gave emphasis to in minicamp. Well, he's able to get those reps in. He's able to really show what he can do. And if you look at his stats, nothing really to look at. Again, going back to he just didn't have the reps to show for it. So he did play in 13 games. And in those 13 games, he didn't get a sack. He had a tackle for loss. He had a few tackles here and there. To me, that tells me he didn't have very many snaps. He was in 13 games. And that's not getting a full season in. I'm very curious about Myles Murphy. I think if you were going to say, which one would you rather work out the best? I just would want the best player available, the one that's going to help this team win. That goes without saying, right? That's obvious. That's kind of an easy answer. But if you think about it, Joseph Osai has a 1-year deal. You still have Myles Murphy under that first-round contract, that rookie deal. So you're going to have him for the long term. If one of these guys has a breakout year, you kind of hope it's Myles Murphy because they're going to have that contract control. I know it's kind of bad to be bringing up contract talks. We don't want to get too close to that. We've been talking so much about Trey Hendrickson. But if you want to get down to it, if you had to choose, I'm excited to see what Myles Murphy would do. I hope he has that breakout year. There's been talks of what he can really do. He just hasn't had those opportunities. So going back to, is Al Golden going to feel like maybe those are my two starters? Maybe those are the ones that I'm going to go with if Trey Hendrickson sits out, if Shemar Stewart still doesn't sign. A lot of questions, a lot of responsibility on Al Golden, but that's kind of what we're looking at. And it's encouraging to see that the other guys are getting those reps in. Those are going to pay off in the end. And something else to look at is you have Joseph Osai, you have Myles Murphy. But remember, he mentioned Cam Sample. And he actually had a quote here recently as well, going to Cam Sample. Talking about that injury, he said, "It's so easy to take stuff for granted. I'm excited to go to practice. Not that I wasn't before, but when the game is taken away, you get a different perspective." Now, I want to make a point of this because Cam Sample isn't a name you hear of too much, but he has contributed a lot when needed. There's been some games where he's come in and has made a difference. In fact, the Chiefs game, he was the one that tipped Mahomes and intercepted him at the line. So Cam Sample is kind of an X factor on that line. We kind of forget about him. It seems like fans don't really see his name come up too much. He's just a solid lineman. He can also kick inside. He's not just an edge rusher. He can play on the inside. He's versatile. So this is a guy I would say you want to keep an eye on. If you want to look at all the guys that are going to need to step up, if Hendrickson, if Stewart are not in camp and training camp, those are the three guys to keep your eyes on, especially Cam Sample. Coming back from that injury, if he can stay healthy, he could possibly have a breakout year too. I would not be surprised to see Cam Sample do that. He's an underrated player in my eyes. He's one of those, I'm glad he's on our team. You're just not going to see him jump out maybe on the stat sheet, but those guys that seem to have the grit when it comes to game time, when it comes to the crunch time, he's one of those guys. I've seen him in there, and maybe he doesn't make the absolute play, but he's disrupting that line. He's causing some pressure. So keep an eye on these guys. There's, hope that we could see one of these guys maybe break out, maybe more than one of them. that would be amazing to see. But until then, Hendrickson, as of this recording, he is back talking with the Bengals, so things might get resolved with him. Shemar Stewart, again, is still early. He might get things resolved with the Bengals as well. We can remain hopeful. In the meantime, I'm still going to see what these guys do. I'm excited to see because you're going to lose a big player with Hendrickson. They've got to get Hendrickson back. I don't know if you can really replace that level, but maybe by a combination, maybe by a committee, a rotation, who knows? We might see one or multiple of these guys break out, have a really good season, and that's what the Bengals need. They just need this defense to be solid. They don't need to be top 3, just up there. They just need to be solid. They need to be better than they were last year. But we want to hear from you guys. What do you think of the defensive linemen outside of Hendrickson and Stewart? Are you confident in these guys? Are you interested to see what they will do coming up in training camp? We want to hear from you guys. Comment below what you think. And if you have not already, make sure you are subscribed. Again, we are so close to 2,000 subscribers. We appreciate so much all of you that have joined the community. We love to hear your thoughts. That's going to do it for now, guys. As we say, Houday.